So welcome everyone to our first Facebook Live chat with some ITP faculty. We hope this Q&A will be helpful to those of you who are curious about ITP and are thinking of applying to our graduate program but don't have a chance to come visit. We're joined today with two of our amazing faculty members, Benedetta Piantella and Marina Zurko. Benny is a humanitarian technologist focused on R&D and social change. She teaches our first-year physical computing classes and design for social applications. She's also the faculty advisor to the student group ITP Perspectives, and she's also an ITP alum. Marina is a media artist focusing on the intersection between nature and culture. She dives into biomaterials, animation, and software. At ITP, she teaches art, audio and video, alternate materials, sustainability, and is a faculty advisor to the Crit Club and Sustainable ITP. So we are here to answer any questions that you may have. Just put it in the comments box below and let us know if you have questions. So I guess why don't you guys just take a few minutes and maybe tell us a little bit about your background?
As Midori said, I'm an ITP alum. I graduated in 2008. I've been an adjunct for a while, and now I'm full-time faculty for the past 5 years. In the fall, I teach physical computing, and in the spring, I usually teach courses around making and physical computing, and some of the tools that you learn here at ITP apply to social applications, either environmental or humanitarian crisis and emergency response. And I have a consulting company that deals with humanitarian clients ranging from NGOs to governments to academia, and works on solutions for social challenges.
Let's see, so a little bit more expanded in depth on the stuff that I teach here. I teach first year Introduction to Audio and Video, and that's probably the extent of the tech that I teach here. Other than that, I teach classes on art and research, and that's both conventional strands of research combined with really experimental forms of research and development of projects. I'm doing one in the spring that's focused, the cohort of the class is focused on the Anthropocene, so issues of human impact on the planet as an art and research subject, with the hope that people pair up with scientists and do some interesting work and find other ways besides science and journalism to express and dive into environmental issues. I teach a class, we have a lot of 7-week classes here. They're 2-point half semester classes, which gives people an opportunity to do a more diverse group of classes that they may not want to invest their entire 4 credits in. One of those that I teach is called the Fungus among Us, and it's looking at mushrooms and culturing mycelium to use it as a form of glue and build styrofoam substitutes. That's been a pretty exciting class, especially because so many people end up using plastics, and styrofoam, and other unsustainable materials in their development projects. To be able to offer some little tiny peer into the world of biomaterials has been a really great prompt for students to rethink their materiality.
Great. So can you guys talk a little bit about the environment at ITP? What's it like here being a student?
You don't mean the weather. Climate change at ITP.
I would say the environment is extremely exciting. It feels very much like an open-ended space where the space itself shifts according to the students' needs and what the students are working on, and throughout the semester it morphs. The student body is so diverse, and so the space itself really reflects that.
It's a really collaborative environment. There's a lot of collaboration. There's a lot of peer-to-peer teaching. There's a lot of student-run groups and teaching environments. There's never a shortage of things to do. One problem I think here is that people just have way too many extracurricular activities to pick from and to participate in. There's a lot of recruitment here. There's a lot of internship opportunities, people coming in and out of the door of this with 35 years behind it, the alumni base is enormous, and a lot of people have gone on to do really interesting things, and so there's a lot of public speaking, and a lot of guest speakers, and and then there's conventional classes, which run anywhere from 12 to 16 students in a class. Classes meet usually once a week for 2.5 to 3 hours, depending on the course length. Did I miss any?
No, there's lots of events, social events, both on the floor and off the floor, speakers, and just occasions to hang out and for the students to actually socialize outside.
Can you guys talk a little bit about the clubs that were, you guys are the faculty advisors? And maybe other clubs beyond what you oversee?
I oversee ITP Perspectives, which is a kind of iteration that's been happening for 3 years, but finally blooming into something a little bit more structured, which is student run. I just advise on it, and the idea is to create a space where students can actually talk more about social issues, ranging from diversity to police brutality to the environment to social development, to pretty much anything that students really care about, but they don't necessarily have a lot of room maybe in their schedules to delve into. We have guest speakers, we talk about these issues, we read articles, we watch videos. We have open discussion, and then the following week we try and actually come up with actionable things that we can do to address the specific challenge, or come out with like outreach activities that we can do. My main focus is that there's so much that we can do with the skills that we have and the skills that we teach here at ITP towards making the world a better place. And so that's just a place to start the conversation. Fridays, 4:30 to 6.
So I run a critique group, which, if that sounds intimidating, isn't. It's actually now been changed. I think the new name is Feedback Club. It's now student run, which is fantastic, and I and a couple of other faculty members participate on a weekly basis to come to critiques. It's an hour and a half once a week, and you can sign up for 30 minutes of feedback. That can be project development, brainstorming, feedback on finished projects or work in progress in your classes or your thesis project. So it's kind of a great opportunity to get really in-depth, slightly more informal, less rushed feedback from your peers and faculty at the same time. And we have a regular group who comes every week and try to encourage people to come and learn how to give feedback as well as just take it. And then another student-run group, it's in its second year, is a sustainability group, and our mission is twofold. One is very localized, trying to get this diverse student body to do things as simple as recycle materials, rethink the materials that they're using in their projects. We've installed dishwashers on the floor, and we have glass plates and silverware here now, which is really exciting, just trying to diminish the amount of takeout materials and garbage that we generate. And then also monitoring electricity and using some of the ITP more techie things to think about ways to optimize the electricity use on the floor. And then there are larger scale projects. NYU has a big green grants program, so trying to incentivize students to do projects off the floor that are sustainably focused. And there's a lot of interesting things. I mean, NYU is an amazing environment, and Tisch itself is a very rich environment, with now getting more focused on research. We're doing a climate justice conference in the spring, and a green hackathon this winter.
Great, thank you. And so on the chat we have Jeff, who's asking, how much of the work at ITP is project-oriented versus traditional coursework?
It's a tough question in a way, because it's sort of a hybrid.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that the majority of classes are focused around project work. The tools and the technologies that the class might be teaching are very much geared towards applications. So, you know, you're not necessarily just going to learn JavaScript or just take a class in, you know, VR or just take a class in physical computing. It's all very much looking at how you then apply these tools towards something. And I would say that the majority of classes, even the half semester courses, but more so the full semester classes, all have usually a project that's attached to it as an assignment that you will be developing in order to actually really absorb that material. Even in physical computing, being the first semester, halfway through we kind of complete the new material, and then it's really up to you to build something with that material in order for you to really absorb it. So I would say that they're all pretty much project or through projects is how you get to learn.
Yeah, there'll never be a conventional engineering style class with just exercises and math equations that you have to do. It's pretty much all either project driven, or in some cases, like I teach a class that's part art history and part trying on art strategies. And the whole class, even though we're looking at a historical perspective of modernism, the class really keeps asking, how is this useful to you in your own development of your work? So either that's happening on a conceptual level, or it's literally happening in the way that you develop projects towards, as Benny said, a purpose, your own purpose.
And with such diversity at ITP, the students are coming from all these diverse backgrounds. How does that collaboration work in the classes? How do you see that happening?
Well, I would say that the beauty of it is that everybody has a different skill set, and everybody either wants to contribute with something that they know how to do, or the majority of them want to jump in and actually try different things. So a lot of, especially the first semester, I feel like a lot of projects end up being group projects, either because that's how the class is structured, or just because of the interest of time. You get so much more done by collaborating with your peers, and everybody is just very eager to get to know each other. So I feel like the groups kind of either self-assemble, or a lot of projects at the beginning might have assigned groups in order to get people into collaborating and just jump feet first. So, and it also just naturally happens. Everybody's still usually using the facilities way past class time into the wee hours of the night, and that's how collaboration just sort of spring out of hanging out and being on the floor together. And the fact that everybody has different backgrounds is exactly what creates like the richest collaborations and projects that really delve into a lot of different, both technical and conceptual material, I would say.
Okay, we have a question online. Momsilo is asking about summer courses, which we don't really, well, we do, it's summer's an option.
Big handful of summer courses, but I think that my sense is that you're really encouraged to do the bulk of your work in the 2-year spread with your cohort, so that you stay connected to the year, your graduating year, in a pretty direct way. Summer courses are sort of supplemental, or often for people who are not ITP students.
Right, summer courses are for ITP students if they want, but it's the only opportunity where we let outside students who are not at NYU take classes here, so that's a good chance.
Part-time.
Right,
There's any
part-timers,
students,
right. And also
almost all of our part-time students are NYU employees.
They're all
Yes,
NYU
they're all.
employees.
We don't
right.
have a part-time student program
Right,
here
right.
for outsiders.
Yep.
Thank you for clarifying
Yeah.
that. And the summer is also when we have ITP Camp, which is another great program. It really meant for people that are professionals in the industry who don't necessarily want to come to ITP for the full 2 years, but still want to experience ITP, so they come for the intensive month. So you can find the ITP Camp link off of our website. Susan is asking, can you speak more to the diversity? I understand that students come from a variety of different educational backgrounds, but what about cultural, age, and gender diversity? It's a great question.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that about 50% of our students, right? If I believe this year more than 50% of our student body is actually from outside of the US.
And 58% is female. 53%?
No, like I think like 58%
58% is female
women.
now, which is awesome.
So it's pretty evenly spaced out between males and females. So there's, and I don't remember the number of countries people came from this year, but there's
I think
usually more than
20,
Yeah,
I think 20, 25 different countries.
Yeah, usually between like 20 and 30 different, countries, and so it's not just about the background. It's the diversity is actually like in terms of cultures and in terms of languages and in terms of traditions and.
Right. Average age is about 26, 27. It's average. I mean, we do have some students 21, just out of undergrad, and then other students in their 40s and 50s, some with families.
Yeah, I mean, definitely people with families.
Yeah, it's definitely a big range. Okay, we have Jeff asking, do ITP students serve as research assistants to professors? If so, are either of you working on anything?
Yeah, so this is not a very traditional research institution. We do research in our own work, but we're not a traditional academic research group where a professor would have some grants and would be working on some type of research and hire research assistants to kind of do the work for them. This is very much, we all pursue our own interests, and we all have our own kind of careers outside of ITP that we bring into our classes a lot, and that so it's a more collaborative environment than a traditional, I guess, like professor researcher. There's other opportunities for students to participate and work
What's
at
the
ITP.
Google Story Grant? That's a huge opportunity. I don't know much about it. What Sean and the Google narrative.
What's it called? That story?
Yeah.
Something?
Google iStories. So we do have grants. We do have funding opportunities directly for student projects, usually more than a professor-led research. So there's a group right now working on the future of storytelling through a grant from Google, working on projects to experiment with different ways of storytelling. That's been ongoing, and it results in showcases and venues. And then I would say that we have classes that might apply for funding in order to get materials or develop new curriculum, but students are very much going to be exploring their own interests and their own projects, and we as faculty can assist with that rather than.
Yeah, it's not that top down as like a science paradigm where there's a principal investigator and then this kind of structure of trickle down at all. But I've worked with students. I'm the master of getting tiny grants and turning them into big opportunities. When they take a long time, but I have two former students. They were both students when they started working with me investigating a Superfund site on the border of Queens and Brooklyn. And we got 2 Dean's grants to support their participation. I mean, they were really tiny, but they are now full collaborators in the project. And we then went on to get a Brooklyn Arts Council grant, and we're now sort of growing the project around alternative strategies of increasing citizenship around this green infrastructure opportunity. So there's a lot of different scales at which things work here, and we are not very formal about any of it.
Yeah, I mean, I've applied for some of the Dean's grants for some of my classes just to prototype new ideas, and then be able to kind of get materials for certain projects to be developed. And then people have gone on to apply for other kind of larger NYU competitions or NYU funding in order to take that project kind of to the next level. So there's different ways to navigate the resources.
And then there's an incubator at NYU that our students have done quite well doing development with, and then STERN competitions.
Right.
Our students of ours have been finalists in STERN business school competitions. So this entrepreneurial initiatives here are quite strong.
Lauren has a question, back to the diversity question. Do you try to match students with specific skill sets on projects to complement each other?
No.
No, they self-select.
Yeah, I think they self-select. At the very beginning of the semester in foundation classes, we kind of either randomly pick or try kind of purposefully to make people step outside of their comfort zones, and it's, you know, I feel like the tendency is not to want to stick with things that they already know how to do, but really kind of working groups where they're allowed to try the things that they're learning. So we very much don't do that kind of matchmaking.
I mean, if Lauren wanted to articulate why she's asking this, it might be helpful.
Okay. And then she also asked, are there a lot of smaller projects throughout the semester, or 1 or 2 projects you work on for the entire class?
Both.
Yeah, it depends. It depends on the course.
Yeah.
There's some classes that might be like small assignments, just because that makes more sense to learn the material. And there are some classes that might be more like not a formal, because it's not very formal, but more like a midterm and a final.
Or project development studio.
Right, where you come with your own idea and then you work on one project for the whole semester. I think one of the recommendations that we have is sometimes to try and work on projects in multiple classes, so that you get to, like, you know, actually stick with the project for a little bit longer of time and develop it further, while also using, you know, other, you know, students from different classes, and being able to, like, use that as feedback and critique for your projects in different groups.
Great. And Max asked, how's the situation with part-time work or assistantships? Is that common or uncommon among students? The program is quite expensive, and I was curious about ways that students make it work.
I think it, you know, in an ideal world, I would say that, you know, you get out of ITP a lot of what you put into it in terms of time, and in terms of just like the time you spend with your classmates. But, you know, it is, we do live in reality, so a lot of students might have either some like freelance work that they do on the side. We definitely don't we discourage full-time work, because you just won't have the time to dedicate to, especially when a lot of it is group projects based. You need to be available for those moments, and a lot of things just like very serendipitously happen by you being around other people and talking to people and kind of creating. So I would say that, like, you know, some part-time work it might be necessary financially for you to attend the program, but they should stay within a reasonable amount of hours that's manageable, and those deadlines really should not be conflicting with the high times of the semester, like midterms and finals, when you're crunching and when everybody's kind of going insane. So.
And there's a modest work-study program within
Right.
the department and within the school, but I emphasize it's modest, and it's not necessarily going to make a significant impact on mitigating your student loans.
Yeah, there's jobs on the floor that you can request.
Yeah.
there's
People
shop
can
jobs
they can find paid internships as well.
and the summers are good for
summers
that
are
kind
great,
of thing, in
yeah.
terms of trying to sort of make up for the lack of work or
Right.
lack of time to work intensively during the year.
We also have departmental scholarships that we give out. So we base those decisions on the admissions application. So that's also an option as well. And then also some students find outside, you know, sources of funding in addition to loans. So Susan asked, is there support in place for students who are struggling in or outside of the classroom?
Yes,
Absolutely.
there's a lot of support. So we have a cadre of 10 or 11 residents who are graduate students. Our chair sometimes calls it the third year of ITP, but really their role is something between a TA in a sense. They run all these support workshops during the week to support all of the technical classes in every imaginable field that you might need. They're there they have office hours, they're there to help you individually, and then they're also here to do their own research. So that's a pretty big support network. We have a lot of office hours here, probably more than most grad programs. The faculty here, the full-time faculty has a pretty open door policy. You don't just have your own advisees, anybody can come and make office hours with you.
Yeah, our calendars are public. You can just sign up for office hours, either technical or non-technical. I have a really comfortable chair, and there's always chocolate in my office. So, you know, for all sorts of, and then NYU too has its own resources for helping.
Yeah, everything from
as a wellness center. And
mental health to writing skills. There's a lot of support at this school.
Great. And Lauren was actually following up on her previous question about matching students. She said she was mostly concerned with every student having the opportunity to wear different hats and try different roles outside the skill set you're coming in with.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, I would say we discourage people. For instance, I'm teaching a basic audio video class. It's like a screaming tear through audio and video recording and editing. And some people come out with some experience, and the whole thing is not to let those people be the only people who run the camera. So everybody really is asked to do everything to the best of their ability, so that you don't end up in these like fallback positions.
Yeah, and even like speaking of physical computing, there's some people that might come with some electronic background. I've had engineers that didn't waive the class because it's not really so much, again, about the technical stuff as it is about also just learning user interaction and how to create interfaces and just like thinking about how we as humans interact with our world. So there's so much kind of conceptual thinking that goes into these classes too, that it's not, people don't end up just wanting to execute. Everybody's kind of brainstorming and like pushing their ideas further. So I would say that you'll have a chance in all the classes to kind of push yourself into different roles just to experiment, and things are very fluid in that sense. So.
And one last thing on that, and this is a funny thing to try to express. Our student body, you are adults. You come with experience in the world, and to come to a place like this where you're not required to have any engineering background means, in a way, we've taken all your adult skills away from you, and you're really a brand new human while you're here. Everyone, in one way or another. So to be able to ride your capacities, your expertise that you come in with, and balance that against this asking you to really have beginner's mind is an interesting balance. You'll really want both of those things.
Yeah, so, and I think it's up to you. I think you get to choose your roles in projects.
So what are you guys most excited about? And we've been in session for about a month now. So what are you most excited about for this upcoming year?
Well, I am personally super excited that there's been a lot of interest in social applications. So that's my personal excitement, is that I feel like a lot of people are coming really interested in learning the tools, but then doing something very interesting with the tools. They're not, I feel like students are not really interested in just learning programming or just learning how to build a circuit or just learning how to 3D print. They're really trying to figure out how to contextualize that material. So that gets me very, very excited.
I'm excited about kind of similar things. The level of interest that's been expressed around environmental issues, which are really important to me. To really pinpoint issues of justice and social justice in the world. My interest has been around the environment, and so this is to have the sustainability group really have some new energy, and first years coming in and really caring about that is exciting. And then this climate justice conference that we're doing in the spring here at Tisch, or it's a Tisch initiative, is also a very exciting opportunity.
Great. I think that pretty much wraps up our time. Any parting words or advice to our viewers out there?
I would say, take a look at the class, the class list, and take a look at, kind of the material that we cover, and I feel like that gives a really good sense of kind of how varied the program is, and all the different kind of things that we do around here. And then you have any questions, then feel free to post them on our page.
Okay, great. So thanks for tuning in for our first Facebook Live event. We have our next one coming up next week, October 13th at 11, with faculty members Catherine Dillon and Tom Igo. And then 2 weeks from now, October 21st, with Nancy Heckinger and Daniel Schiffman. This video will be archived on our Facebook page, so you can always come back and check it out if you tuned in a little bit late. Okay, thanks so much, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.